What it is, what it do, cyber world. It is your girl, the one, the only Ash Brown, and welcome to the Ash Said It Show. I appreciate all of your love, all of your support. Makes a huge difference. Over 1,700 episodes and 500,000 streams worldwide. None of this is possible without you guys, so I thank you so very, very much. And on this beautiful, beautiful fall, this harvest day here in the A-Town, I've got a very special lady that is joining me. She is one of the most sought after fashion and beauty bloggers who happens to call Atlanta home, the wonderful Liz Weber. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Al. Thanks so much for having
Oh,
me.
thank you so much for joining us, Liz, and congratulations to you and your wonderful husband. You've got a bundle on the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Still feels so surreal. It's our first, and we're
Oh,
just every day. I just can't believe it.
awesome. Liz, to start things off, did you always want to be this mass media influencer, blogger?
Honestly, absolutely not. Which is so crazy to me how it kind of all developed. I went to school for mass communication, and I thought I was going to be in like the news and like television
Mm-hmm.
side of things, but like more behind the scenes, honestly, which
Right.
is what I thought I was going to do. So yeah, in school I did. We had a news channel, and I was the producer of it, and then I would try like being an anchor, just all the different things, and realize that like news wasn't for me. But
Mm.
like I did love the PR and the marketing side of it, so kind of learned a lot in that. But honestly, it was never whenever I was in college, I feel like the whole influencer thing was not as prominent as it is today. So
Right.
even thinking about that as a job didn't even seem like a possibility at that time.
Mm. What was the pivot for you transitioning from the 9 to 5 job to becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit more about my background. So out of college, I ended up working for a huge like southeastern boutique called Dress Up, and at the time,
Mm.
they whenever I left the company, they had about 20 stores, and then they were also online. And I ended up being in charge of their PR, so I was their director of PR for about 5 years. And through that, I kind of wore a lot of hats. I was
Mm-hmm.
helping with their social media. They would have me doing try-ons with them, and they would have me doing like actually starting their influencer program too, because around
Mm.
that time is whenever we realized people weren't just paying others for marketing ads on radio or newspapers or magazines. They were paying individuals to talk about them. So I was actually on the
Mm.
brand side of that for about 5 years, really getting influencers to talk about our company. So that's kind of where it got started. And even I noticed as I was posting on my own Instagram and all that stuff, I was noticing people kept asking where things were from and just interested in kind of the behind the scenes of what was going on in my life. So that's kind of where it got
Mm.
started. But actually, I left that company back in October of 2019 for a more traditional PR agency job in Buckhead in Atlanta.
Mm.
And during that job, I learned a lot. I was only there for about 6 months, and then in March of 2020, lost my job because of COVID, like many
Yeah.
others. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to pivot. And at that point, I remember I was upset for about 5-10 minutes afterwards, and
Mm-hmm.
then went to my husband. I was like, okay, I lost my job, but like I'm gonna do something for myself. Like, let's just try this because
Mm-hmm.
nobody's hiring right now. So might as well try doing something for myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it got started, is getting laid off, honestly, and then just
Yeah.
realizing that this was a passion of mine, social media, and kind of learning more about it since I had that brand knowledge.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the pandemic has changed so much stuff. And as we were talking, because we met recently at the Noon to Night show, the fashion show over there at Avalon, benefiting Bert's
Yes.
Big Adventure. We were talking because I was telling you guys that I was a flight attendant, in the middle of COVID. We got furloughed, and it was just like, you know what? I'm going to jump into, what I know. I'm going to jump back into it. In a weird, strange way, the pandemic has kind of shifted people's minds and shifted like what
Mm-hmm.
we can do, and really just further on prove to ourselves, you know what? Yeah, this didn't work out, but you know what? There's something better around the corner. And I would definitely agree
Exactly.
with
I
that.
always keep saying, yeah, it was definitely the push I needed, because now that I've done this for about a year and a half, I can never imagine going back to that 9 to 5. So
Mm-mm.
it's pretty cool, because I don't think I would have actually taken that step if I wasn't forced to in the way I was.
Gotcha. As you were transitioning and you were coming, Just Liz was coming about, what was your major goal for the blog?
So my biggest thing, I kept asking people, why do you follow me? Like, why is it that you keep coming back to my page? And every single time, people just kept saying, you are just 100% you. You're 100% you. Like, I've met you in person, and you're the exact same as you are on social media, on stories or in your feed posts or videos. And that, to me, was just, it was not shocking necessarily, but it was just something that really stuck with me, because that's what I always wanted to be. That was my goal. Like, I want to be just 100% me on my platform and just sharing my everyday life and basically talk to my followers like they are my best friends. I want to share these products, because why would I want to keep them to myself, type of thing. So just the authenticity is something that is a huge goal of mine to continue, just like moving forward, and always keeping that at the core of what I'm doing with my brand, is just being authentically me and just letting people know that that's where kind of like the Just Liz name came from. Is people would always be like, oh, that's just Liz being Liz. And just knowing that that's enough, and that is, you know, why people are here, is just because I'm just being me. And I think the message goes the same for others as well. Like, just being you is more than enough.
Yes, I agree. What was the most difficult part of becoming an entrepreneur?
I think for me, I'm extremely ADHD. So that, and in general, not having, you know, tasks and honestly every single day coming up with what's the day going to look like, and how am I going to move the needle forward, and how am I going to actually make money on doing this. That was kind of at the beginning, just the struggles. It was definitely a grind. I was pitching myself to over 100 brands a week, just throwing things out there, getting a ton of no's, but then also some yeses, which obviously is what was encouraging enough to keep moving forward. But for some reason, every Monday in particular is what would really get me. I would start the new week on a Monday, and I would just get so discouraged, because I would look at the week ahead of me with nothing planned and have to fill it all in, basically. But then as I took the day, and as I, you know, would go through each day, I would, you know, start getting projects to do, or start coming up with ideas, stuff to promote myself, but then other brands. So it definitely, I have learned now a little bit more of, you know, consistency, and it's really kind of rolling now. But at the beginning, it was definitely a little hard.
What would you say has been your proudest moment in the last year and a half?
Oh, gosh. See, and that is such a hard question for me, because I think there's been so many little things that I've been able to be a part of that has just been huge for me, like working with, you know, Modern Luxury in Atlanta, and just being recognized by them. Even doing things like what we did with the Noon Tonight, like being asked to do something like that, for me, is just, wow, like I'm actually being considered. That's really cool. So there's a lot of local things that have been just really fun for me to be recognized in. I also do a lot with local places like Avalon and Halcyon, so like these shopping centers, and also like helping them with their social media. I help Halcyon a lot in kind of consulting them and having my brand knowledge that is come into play as well. And so stuff like that has been just really, really exciting for me.
Last but certainly not least, what advice would you have to any aspiring entrepreneurial lifestyle bloggers and influencers?
Absolutely. So for me, my biggest thing, I think, just to reiterate, is just to be 100% you. There's so many people out there, and I think that can be discouraging to people, thinking, well, why would I do this? There's so many other people. It's so saturated. But the saying that, you know, being you, like nobody else can be you, means so much, especially in this industry. You know, you don't look at a doctor and think, well, why would I be a doctor? There's so many out there. It's the same concept. So I think just not getting discouraged and just pushing forward. And when it comes to just providing that content that is actually something that's engaging for your followers, I always just tell people to make sure that it's either inspiring, it's entertaining, or it's resourceful. And if it's one of those things and you're being consistent and you absolutely love it, then you can't fail.
Liz Weber, let everyone know, do you do consultations?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started doing this and started like sharing the fact that I was doing this as a full-time job, I was getting a lot of DMs from people who are also, you know, either aspiring to do what I do, or also like small businesses who are trying to grow their social media, and just asking all these questions. And so I was always happy to answer, but I kind of found an opportunity there to have more one-on-one, like 1 hour consultations, where I will literally sit down on Zoom or in person if we're local, and really like audit their social media, tell them maybe things that they could change to really actually grow their platform. And if they're an aspiring blogger, like how to get there. So yes, I do offer consultations, and I have that on my website as well.
Awesome. Liz, what's the best way for people to follow you and also to check out all of your social media stuff and to, of course, sign up for a consultation?
Yeah, absolutely. So my consult website is weberandco.com, and then my Instagram is just Liz Weber with an underscore at the end, and that's where you can find me basically anywhere.
I love it. Liz, thank you so much for coming through. It's always a pleasure catching up with you, girlie. You know, we got to do something soon.
Yes, you
We got you
do.
got your mini. You got
Awesome.
a
Thanks so
mini.
much for having me.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Much more success to you and the whole team and everybody into 2022. Good vibrations always. And you know you got to come back when there's more stuff because I know that you're working on some stuff in the back there. I can see you're cooking stuff on the stove there, Liz. All right, so you got to share
Heck
next
yes.
time.
Let's go.
You got to
Love
share
it.
that. Definitely. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. Keeping in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do. You look them square in the face, you tell them, don't believe me. Just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for, the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.